I destroyed 100 villages in my Minecraft hardcore world. But why? Because I'm just a jerk. But you know, this is payback. Those stinking villagers, they never give me the right trades until I sit there for multiple days resetting them. So I'm getting revenge on them today in the Great Village Raid of 2022. Show your support for my side by hitting that subscribe button. It's free and it would help out a ton. With this concept, surely I would have less work to do than the last hardcore video, right? Right? Okay, why in the world did this take me over 150 days to finish? It's because of all the other things I had to do in order to do this, as well as to just improve my quality of life on the hardcore world. My first order of business was to get the elytra screenshot for last video's thumbnail. So yes, I actually went and enchanted all of these elytras I got. I didn't just Photoshop it. And I also wanted to heal them all, meaning I needed mending on all of them. But you may recall from my last video, my villagers weren't restocking when next to these zombies. So to get all the books I needed, I started moving the villagers to the top floor in more permanent accommodations for them, giving them their own beds as well. I also made some general adjustments to the trading hall. But after that, I was ready to get destroyed. I wanted to destroy all of these villages a decent distance away from spawn, in case I needed the villages closer to me for something. I went to -5k, -5k, and this was next to a mushroom bio. I got some steaks from them, then headed toward the first village. On the way, I raided a ruined portal and desert temple, though no good loot. Just outside the village, there was a naturally generated underwater sugarcane. Yes, be terrified. Village number 1 was a relatively small desert village. At first, I wanted to loot a ton of resources along this process, in this village collecting sand for example, just to see how much loot I would be able to get during all of this. However, after a few villages, I realized just how long that would take, so this was reduced to mainly hay bales, melons, and bookshelves, and any good items in chests. Even though this first village was small, it took me a while to destroy, seeing as I didn't know the proper TNT placement for the buildings yet. The goal for any particular building was just to remove most of the blocks, at least enough to say it isn't exactly a shelter anymore, as well as removing all of the bells and beds from the village. After I was satisfied enough with the destruction, it was on to the next village. The second village spawned in a desert canyon, an amazing sight to behold thanks to the caves and cliffs terrain generation. A couple of buildings generated near sea level, with the rest of the village generating as far as Y161. The village was pretty cool, but it was kind of a pain to destroy. Thankfully, I did this after getting elytra and not before. Village 3 was a desert village that was mostly in the neighboring wooded badlands biome. It was relatively small with not a lot of resources to its name, mainly just a couple of farms. On the way to Village 4, we'd be close to a pillager outpost, and I thought it was finally time to get myself a totem of undying. So I killed the captain and started up a raid in the savannah. I wanted to play this extremely carefully, using mainly a bow, though I didn't bring nearly enough arrows for that. I was pretty much always on team mending for a bow, but now that I've experienced a hardcore raid, you need a ton of arrows for this sort of thing, so Team Infinity is kind of growing on me. The first few waves were fairly typical, kill everything, almost die to a Ravager type experience, and the main reason I wanted to play bow was I want no part of Vexes, so once the first evoker spawned, I sniped him from a good 40 blocks away. After taking him out, I grabbed my first totem. On the next wave, I accidentally ender pearled right next to everyone, that was a nice heart attack, and while I was trying to snipe the evoker mid-air, I accidentally killed the village cat. Rest in peace, Sir Fluffy. But I was running out of arrows, so I'd have to go in for melee, which was dreadful because Vexes suck, let's be honest. After a while, I started really not caring about defeating the raid and more so just about getting more totems out of the ordeal. After a while, we were defeated, but I was able to come away with 4 totems from the experience. And in my book, this counts as destroying a village, doesn't it? It's just instead of everything being destroyed, the entire population was wiped out. Being not interested in taking out the other mobs, I bailed over to Village 5. It was a decently sized plains village with a couple of hotels and a variety of professions. I'm not going to go over every village in excruciating detail because that would be a very long video. I'll just give you the approximate size and village type with any additional comments being made where I see fit. Village number 6 was also an average plains village with a good chunk of it being in the forest. Village 7 and 8 were taiga villages, which end up being pretty bad for this. There's a lot of cobblestone on these, which means a good amount of TNT TNT is needed on most of the building types. In Village 8, I made some wolves in the area mad, as well as the golem, which was on top of the houses for some reason. He'd end up falling down and I'd take him out though. Number 9 was a regular plains village, but it would be my first run-in with the cobblestone cleric buildings. Screw these things, man. Even after like 5 TNT, you're really not satisfied with the amount of destruction, and there were 2 of them in this village. At least they had a bunch of hay bales and a mediocre blacksmith. Village 10 was a big plains village, but these don't end up being too bad as long as you have mostly housing units. These are pretty fast to get through. Knowing that they don't have chests, you can just open the door, place the TNT, and light it up. Village 11 had a large surface area, but not a lot of buildings, which made taking it out pretty quick. And Village 12 would be the first of the snowy villages. These would become one of the preferred village types to destroy, as they were quick for a few reasons. One being igloos, usually needing 1 TNT that was easily placed, and another being they really just don't have good loot, no hay bales or anything, so it's very quick to just go and destroy all the buildings. Villages 13 through 18 were all snowy villages, all average in size. But by number 15, I had realized the just burn it down method. A good number of the buildings in these villages are also exclusively wood. I could light them on fire and they would be destroyed by the time I was done with the village. By that, with igloos and pretty bad loot, snowy villages are probably the fastest to plunder. Village 19 was a pretty big taiga village. While the fire tactic helps a little bit on these with the roofs, they are still mostly cobblestone, so they are still a bit slower. Village 20 was a pretty big plains village. The main things of note were the golem killing itself by getting stuck in a wall, and me nearly killing myself by falling into a lava pit. God, dude. At this point, I was running low on TNT, so I started making my way back toward home. On the way back, I found a small taiga village, as well as 2 plains villages. One plains village was average, but the second one was very small. Only 1 house, a cleric, and a mason in the entire village. But unfortunately, by the time I got here, I had 3 TNT left, so I manually mined the cleric building. But I'm pretty sure Village 23 goes down as the smallest village in... what would you even call this that I'm doing? A challenge? An excursion? A campaign, maybe? After 23 villages, I was back at home, but before I could get back to village destruction, I had some things to do. I healed up my elytra and tools, then I started a digging operation to get down to bedrock for redstone, during which I encountered the deepest overworld underground lava pool I have ever seen. It was like 15 blocks deep or something. Mining down here, I definitely found more diamonds than redstone, so I figured I would just do villager trades for what I needed. And this led me to making a batch of librarians and a cleric. I accidentally killed the guy. After accidentally killing that guy, another one escaped and started messing around in the zombie basement, so I just killed him too. This round of librarians gave me sharpness 5, power 5, and flame. In the purification process, I accidentally let one loose, then proceeded to make the same mistake that let the guy loose in the first place. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. And when they weren't zombified, the villagers just had a mind of their own. Hey. Where are you going? Desperate to do anything that didn't involve villagers, I took what little TNT I was able to make from the mob farm gunpowder into the nether, and I was able to grab enough ancient debris for a couple of ingots. What do you upgrade to netherite first? Maybe the chestplate, maybe a pickaxe or sword? Wrong! Pants and helmet are objectively the correct choices. Anyway, remember the redstone I was gathering? Yeah, of course you don't. I naturally used it to build a gunpowder farm so I could continue my conquest of the villages. This was the one farm that I didn't make sure was updated for 1.19, and of course this farm needed it due to the light level spawn changes, so initially the rates weren't great, so I had to spider-proof the platforms and build a wall around the outside of the farm, and I also built the spawn platform a tad too high. Man, I really killed it on this farm, didn't I? After healing tools, I went out to the desert for more sand. I grabbed more obsidian, finally put down a beacon at the base, and after getting a good amount of TNT, I went back into the nether for more ancient debris. I got 8 more ingots, which I would use for everything but my sword. Remember here, my sword is named Disappointment because I thought it was a sharpness 5, but it ended up only being sharpness 3, and it would be way too expensive to get sharpness 5 on it. So I wasn't going to waste the netherite ingot here, and it's actually really good that I didn't, and you'll see why in a future episode. And after a final round of curing my villagers, I finally got back to the village destroying. Village 24 was a plains village on a river. Number 25 was the first savanna village since the raid. The savanna villages would probably be the second fastest in my opinion, with most of the buildings being all wood for easy burning, but typically having a lot of hay bales, unlike snowy villages. And they also had melons, which I also wanted to grab for some reason. Village 26, typical plains village. Village 27, back to the savanna. Couple ruined portals in between the villages. Again, loot was pretty trash. Village 28 back to plains, village 29 back to savannah. For village 30 we went to the desert, and this was probably a top 2 largest village. It took me 37 TNT to take down this village. That's pretty big. Village 31 and 32 were back to the savannah for some easy wood burning. Village 33 was in the desert, also another large one. Number 34 also desert, having a bunch of food for its size. 35 and 36 were in the savannah, 36 being pretty small. 37 in the taiga, then 38 through 41 were all plains villages. Number 42 had a lava pool that was setting my hay bales on fire. Number 43 and 44 were very close to each other, being plains and savannah separated by a river. I'm pretty surprised with how spaced out my villages were throughout this whole thing, as I know quite a few seeds with multiple villages right next to spawn. I don't know if it's more likely to be farther apart the farther away you get from spawn or something, just an observation. After village 45, I was out of TNT and storage space again, so I went back home, getting lost in the nether along the way. After a gunpowder AFK, I healed up at the mob farm, finally getting tired of the enderman griefing my dirt blocks, so I replaced them with bone blocks. After some more gunpowder AFK, I was ready for the next round of villages. Another portal took me straight into village 46, and they definitely weren't prepared for it. Number 46 through 50 were all plains villages, 48 being possibly the fastest village of the conquest, being very small. But after village number 50, I saw some easy access to the deep dark, so it was ancient city time. It had a grand lava pool at the entrance, its loot ripe for the taking. I found a spot away from shriekers where I would be able to organize my gear in my shulkers, meaning I could walk up and break the chests and walk back. Please, just look at this chest area here. Why are there 7 shriekers here? 7 in this little area. Though I can't exactly blame them, because this was the right place for security, as it was hiding the Swift Sneak 3 book that I was searching for. The city also had 2 Swift Sneak 2 books for a backup just in case. With the loot acquired, I got the hell out of there and back to raiding villages. Village number 51 through 55 were savannah, except 53 was a plains. If I'm not going into serious detail, they were all just standard village looting experiences. For 56, it was raining in the plains, and rain ended up sucking for this because it meant using more precious TNT. 57, 58, and 59 were in the savannah, and then number 60 through 66 was all in the plains. At number 64, I had a bit of a run-in with an enderman. I mean, he teleported into my TNT. Why is he mad at me? For 67, we went to a snowy village, then 68 was in the taiga. 69 was a notable village, not just because it's nice, but there was a basement igloo that was directly outside the village. I, of course, just let the villagers stay trapped down there. Number 71 was also a snowy village, with number 70, 72, and 73 being in the taiga. Fun fact, village 72 is the first time I've ever seen a shepherd in a taiga village. Village 74 and 75 were in the plains, and marked the start of the 3rd real-life day that I was doing this project for. Between everything else I did during this, including plenty of days AFK for gunpowder, things were taking a long time. In number 76, one of the buildings spawned directly on top of a lava pool, and it was pretty much gone by the time I got there. After raiding village 77, being a bit larger, I was out of storage space in my shulker boxes, so I went back home. And with how often I was on the nether roof for traveling, I finally decided to build a roof portal directly at the base, and link them up at exactly 0, 0. I did some villager stuff, upgraded my bow, then decided to make the regular mob spawner just for creepers. It was in the interest of being able to use looting on them, but since the design wasn't quite as efficient at spawning them, the rate of gunpowder gain was about the same. Once I had 6 stacks of TNT, I figured I'd have enough to finish up with the villages. And when I was teleporting out, I didn't realize just how massive village 78 was. This was definitely the largest village of them all. By the time it was destroyed, I used 48 TNT, had spawned 4 iron golems, and had 2.5 stacks of hay bales in my inventory. All from that one village. My goodness, I thought it may have been combined with the nearby village number 79, but no, it was all one village. Number 79 was decent in size, but felt small by comparison. Number 80 and 81 were your standard desert villages, and number 82 was the only plains village to have this particular style of librarian building. Village 83 through 87 were in the savannah. 88, 89, and 90 were in the plains. 91 was a taiga, 92 and 93 were snowy villages, 94 was one of the fastest plains villages. In village 95, a thunderstorm started, but no skeleton horses though. In number 96, I stole their sweet berries because I was out of food and didn't want to use the bread. In village 97, half of it spawned basically inside of a cave, even the town center was in the cave. Number 98 was a massive savannah village that had a ruined portal at the end. I showed my true skills in village 99, where I enderpearled straight into the golem after making him mad at me. Oh. I pulled out the Ender Pearl instead of the bow, dude. Just imagine if I had died on village number 99. And what was village number 100? It was a typical savannah village. But it was special, cause, you know, it was number 100. Or something. But to this point, I wasn't entirely sure if my counting was correct, so just to be safe, I still raided the 2 nearby villages. I didn't want to leave this village conquest area only to find out I actually didn't do 100 of them. Village 101 was a typical savannah village, and village 102 was the true last village of the conquest. I figured I would destroy this one a bit extra, thinking of potentially using it for the thumbnail on this video. In blowing up the last building, I found a couple of emerald ore blocks right under it. With screenshots acquired, that was finally it for this project. I used the nether roof to get back home, somehow getting another endermite while I was messing around at the nether ceiling. But guys, here is the moment you've all been waiting for. How much loot did I get from raiding 102 villages? I got 728 pieces of bread, 472 potatoes, 150 emeralds, 16 gold blocks, and 5 golden apples from ruined portals, only 3 diamonds somehow out of like 15-ish blacksmiths, about 270 chests in total, and the grand reveal. This is how many hay bales that I got from looting 102 villages. Yep, that's right, 2,900 hay bales. You could have easily increased this number if you wanted to by specifically targeting desert, savanna, and plains villages, because think about it, there was 2.5 stacks in a single desert village. But the real question we have to ask ourselves is, was it worth it? Of course not. Telling me I spent 157 days on this garbage idea. But nah, it was pretty fun, and it was definitely something different that I was able to do. Maybe next time you're feeling bored of the same old Minecraft, you might give something like this a try. Will I ever do this again? Probably not. This was kind of torturous. But maybe I like that. And maybe you should like the video if you made it this far. The video was a lot of work, and I'd appreciate you doing so. And if you subscribe to the channel too, you'd be pretty awesome. But this has been Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.